Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. Ridiculous, flat out ridiculous that Hector Neris on an 0-2 count is going to throw that pitch to Tapia, leave it up to get crushed. It's pathetic. Here we go again. You are losing baseball games that you need to win. You should win, and it felt like the Phillies were in control throughout. Even when they lost that 2-0 lead. They had an early 2-0 lead. Even when they lost it to make it 2-2, it still felt right. It still felt like, okay, that's traditional Vinny Velasquez. Get a lead, allow 2 home runs, allow Trevor Story to rip a bomb, right? Allow them to get back into it. That's what happens with Vince Velasquez, but you'll be okay. And I wasn't wrong with that assessment because they eventually did take that 2-run lead right back. I know that the common statement right now about this team is, well, they are the same as last year. Well, their bullpen is just as bad as last year. And that's not the case. Last year, they were the second most historic bullpen ever in the history of Major League Baseball. 2 of your huge acquisitions are not even available for the club right now. So you're not seeing Archie Bradley. You're not seeing Jose Alvarado. You're not seeing those bigger acquisitions that you got last year over the last couple of games. And what do you know? You're getting some of the poor decision makings, like Coonrod, for example. Some of the plays late, kind of weak, up the middle. I don't know what's going on with Didi Gregorius. There were a couple times that you could question if he was in the right spot for double play balls, and he's been very hard on himself because he hasn't been a very good defender. Early in the game, he's making mistakes and he's making errors, and he even has said it himself. I am not happy with the play that I'm making defensively, so there was some wonkiness involved there. It's just crazy. It really is that you have all these games that are in your hands and you're in your grasps and you just let it slip. And when you know your competitive division is going to be pretty much super intense, and these wins matters. My point are these games matter. These wins that you let fall, they matter. And you're playing a Rockies team. And heading into this series, I told myself this because I know that it's easy to go down the route of you better sweep this team because they're not very good. Of course, I would be happy with the sweep, and I would be very excited to take down this team in 3 games and get on some nice rhythm. But all I need is a series win. I'm not demanding any sort of sweeps. I need a series win. And now you're looking at a spot where you have to win the next 2. Now there's no margin for error. But really, Hector Neris, an 0-2 count, and I'm one of the people that don't rip Hector Neris too much because he is what he is. I don't have false expectations for Hector Neris. An 0-2 hang and pitch, dude, that's dumb. And I've recognize this now with a couple of pitchers. And I said, if I continue to see this, I am going to question why I see this. Hector Neris now, another pitcher on an 0-2 count, gets destroyed for a home run. I saw it with Brandon Kinsler to Darren Ruff. I saw it with Zach Wheeler to La Stella. Let's continue to keep that in the back of our minds because seriously, I swear to God, if this becomes something that is drilled over and over and over and over and over again, there's got to be a reason why these pitchers continue to throw 0-2 pitches that other teams are pouncing on those. There is a correlation if this still continues to happen. We've already seen it 3 times in a very short amount of time. So just something to keep in mind. They got on the board early, and I loved it. JT Realmuto with the triple. What the hell? You're telling me here's a catcher flying around off the wall. Blackman doesn't know what to do, doesn't read it properly. Here he goes. JT's running, and I'm screaming, best catcher in baseball, baby. Best catcher in baseball as he's running the bases. He ends up getting knocked in with a little Didi Gregorius dribbler to the right side. We'll take it 1-0. How do you do? 4th inning. This is where you got another run on the board. You got some insurance, as they call it. Bryce Harper, awesome walk. Just a phenomenal walk. professional at-bat, as we know that he does. JT singles. Didi lines out with a broken bat to first base. Oh, it was so frustrating because it was roped down the first base line. JT, though, with the athletic build that he has, somehow squeaks back to first base without getting doubled up, which was clearly monstrous. Bohm, well, JT steals second too, by the way, so there's no double play ball because there was one out. You know, if Bohm ends up hitting a ground ball to shortstop, now you're turning two. It was just a JT show early on, is my point. My man was showing his versatility. We obviously see what he brings to the table defensively behind the dish and with the arm. No runners want to run on JT Realmuto. There's a reason why base runners are afraid. You saw his base running. You saw his offensive production. You saw a really solid version of JT. So he steals second base to break up any sort of double play action. Boom, hits a dribbler. We're scoring on dribblers these days. That's fine. I don't ask how. I ask how many. And the thing is, it's two. They got another run. Boom. Gets another run on board to make it a 2-0 lead. Maton leaves JT Realmuto on third base, so you could have had added insurance. Maton, though, he comes up big later in the game, I should say. Maton could play. He didn't knock in JT there, but he just put together an at-bat where he's grinding through, he's fouling off pitches. Eventually, he did fail in that moment, but Nick Maton, big picture here, this kid is serious. This kid actually has something in his game that you can't send him down like it's that good. He's making a statement. You are not going to put my name back in any sort of AAA conversation. I'm here to stay. I have the skill set, and you will not put me down. That's the way that he's playing right now, and it's beautiful. Bottom four is when Trevor Story hits a homer, Crone hits a homer, Vinny V, it becomes Vinny V. That's where you're at. Vinny V becomes Vinny V. Everything we pretty much expected out of Vince Velasquez in this start. Breaking pitches don't break, loses it a little bit, and what do you know? It's just what happens when you utilize Vince Velasquez. This is the pure definition of Vinny V. Top five bothered me because the Phillies had a chance to tack on more and explode. Step on their throats. That's my favorite, right? Step on the opposing team's throat. 2 men on, 0 outs. All right, Marquez walks Moniak and Vince Velasquez. Let that sink in. Marquez walks Moniak, who I still think stinks. He had 2 strikeouts, and two times, I hear the broadcast. The first time Bryce Harper makes a play and someone steps in for Mickey Moniak, but Tom McCarthy's like, I don't think Mickey Moniak saw that one at all. And then later on, Ruben Amaro Jr. goes, I don't think Mickey Moniak had a really good jump on that at all. Now, that one was more of a blooper in between the infield and the outfield, and you know where it can land in Coors Field. There's a lot of room there. But when you can recognize clearly that Mickey Moniak, every single game to this point, my man can't read the baseball off the bat. Can we seriously stop with this garbage? How are you a first overall pick in Major League Baseball? How are you an outfielder? And constantly all I'm hearing is my man can't get a jump off the ball. That's what you need to do. That's your job. You have to be good in that area. That's something you have to be strong at. So I'm pissed off with hearing that constantly every game. Not once in a while, every game. Every single game. And don't tell me that he is he has to learn. He has to develop. Yeah, in other areas. Reading a ball off the bat, dude, that's not where you need to adjust and MLB speed. It's not the same as being at the dish and learning the pitching. No, this is totally different. This is stuff that reading the bat off the ball, it's the same. It's the same in every level. It's instincts, it's first jump, it's first reaction. Dude, come on. I'm bothered by it. But anyway, Marquez walks Moniak and Vince Velasquez. Kutch moves a runner over, right? So moves them over. The problem is it should have been a strikeout with him looking. Bottom of the dish, really nice pitch. Ooh, one of those. Ooh, all right, live another day, baby. You get another chance to tell a story here, and he ends up grounded out. Andrew McCutchen is absolutely still lost, and it is so brutal to watch. And unfortunately, this is where injuries come in, because it's not only, I mentioned the bullpen, but when you don't have Gene Segura, that's huge. You don't have Bamboo Brad, even though I'm not going to tell you that's huge, but that's how Maton got into the lineup, taking advantage of an opportunity, I'll say, right? There was some neck stiffness involved with Brad Miller, so he wasn't out there. I'm talking about with Andrew McCutchen. No, I don't know. I just brought up Bamboo because that was part of today's roster, and it was a weird late change. And Didi was missing time before, so you missed him out of the lineup. This team is battling so much right now. And with Andrew McCutchen playing the way that he's playing, if Gene Segura was available, I would imagine that Gene Segura at this point would be leading off. You have to make some serious change there because the production you're getting out of McCutchen is just flat out not good enough. So Rhys Hoskins with a strikeout, and Bryce Harper works the count to a full count but ends up getting out. So you're telling me that your bottom of the lineup actually does their job, and that's get on base with 0 outs. You turn the lineup over. You have Andrew McCutchen, Rhys Hoskins, Bryce Harper when the game is 2-2. And you can't score again, and you can't come back with something thrilling. You can't get those timely hits. You leave runners in scoring position. That can't happen. That's unacceptable. These are your top players. These are your best performers. These are when they need to step up and come up huge, come up crucial for your team. So that really ripped it out of my chest. That ripped it out of my soul. You got to produce there, fellas. You just do. And Rhys Hoskins with one of the most bizarre games in the world because my man strikes out 3 straight times, and then in the back end of the game becomes that Rhys Hoskins that we need him to be. So it's typical. It's the definition of Rhys Hoskins in one game. That describes Rhys Hoskins in one game. He couldn't see the ball. He was outmatched. He was swinging through pitches. I guess he couldn't really judge what was coming out of the pitcher's hands. He was definitely all over the map in his brain, swinging at his first 3 at-bats. But then at the end, he was cruising. And I guess maybe it was just Marquez. Maybe it was Marquez he couldn't really figure out. And then once Marquez gets moved around, it's, now I'm ready to rock, baby. Now it's time to go. Now it's Rhys Hoskins time. I don't know. Double switch happened then, though. And, of course, when that happens, we're all disappointed. Really? Roman Quinn in center field. Really? We're doing this again. Not that I think Mickey Moniak is good by any means, because he's not. But Roman Quinn, really, I'm done with this. He ends up getting a double. He steals third base, which, again, I think he just steals to steal. We've seen him steal third base before, make the third out at third because he slid through the bag. But, dude, you can score no matter what. You can score from second base. Your speed is unbelievable. That's why you are so... That's why you are still on this baseball team, only because of that. That's it. There's really nothing else. I don't think the gamble is worth it based off of how unique you are with your legs, but he gambles and steals anyway. He takes third, and he ends up getting knocked in from Kutch. Kutch does get a little RBI, how do you do involved, and that's gets your runner. You get your lead back, which is huge for sure. Rhys Hoskins steps up and hits a solo home run, so you take your 2 to lead back. You take that lead back, that 2-run lead, you're up 4-2. At the time of Roman Quinn, though, scoring, I can't believe I actually saw this, but I saw this. There were some on Phillies Twitter saying, see, this is why Roman Quinn is on this team. See, this is why Roman Quinn is so special. This is why he's available for you. Dude, what? My man hit 0-for-0. My man struck out 30,000 times so far this season. You're telling me there's actually Roman Quinn defenders? You're telling me there's people out there that think there's still a reason for him to be an option for Joe Girardi? No. You can't make 78 mistakes and then do one thing good, and now all of a sudden I'm supposed to just pretend like the other things didn't happen, and I'm acknowledging why Roman Quinn is still on this team. No. Roman Quinn stinks. Roman Quinn is bad. Roman Quinn does not deserve to be on this baseball team, even when his speed, once out of every 20 games, is something that is big for the team, if you will. Was it a big run at that point? Of course it was. It was a big double. Good for him. Finally getting a damn hit. It broke an obnoxious streak. He gets on second. He steals third. He ends up getting knocked in from Andrew McCutchen. Probably would have been knocked in from Rhys Hoskins at his home run anyway. That was big in this game, for sure, in that moment, without knowing that the Phillies were going to blow it. That doesn't justify, though, keeping Roman Quinn around after what we've seen, the disgust that we've seen to this point. It's very uneducated, in my opinion. Coonrod comes in, and in the seventh, there was a little bit of some wonkiness. Well, it was like a combination of, at one point, after Vinny V, they went around a bit. Jojo Romero came in. They went with David Hale. Then there was a David Hale-Coonrod combination there. And there was a little bit of some traffic on the base paths. There was a man on third. 4-3 game at this point, so they did shop in to the lead and make it a one-run game. Trevor Story up. 99 mile per hour up in the zone, and he swings right past it. Woo-hoo-hoo! Coonrod gets me fired up there, and then he allows a pop fly. Doesn't allow it. I guess that's a terrible way to start the sentence off. But there was a pop fly up in foul territory to Alec Boehm, and he makes an amazing play by the not the fence. What is that thing called? The netting. The netting. Sort of like what we saw Buster Posey do in that Giants series here in Philadelphia, where he used the netting to kind of make the play. Did he use the netting to catch the ball? Did he not? They went to replay. They said he didn't. Alec Boehm, hold my beer, Buster Posey. I'll do something very similar. Makes an outstanding play to get out of that inning. So the damage was only one run. Could have been significantly worse. Now we're talking a 4-3 baseball game, and it's a one-run lead. You had in the eighth. That was in the seventh. In the eighth, Quinn gets on. Up to bat, I should say. After Maton gets on. Chance to knock in a run. Roman Quinn really punch us in the face. Really make a statement here for us. Maybe you can give those Roman Quinn supporters a little bit more juice to run with. Now, take a wild guess what happened. Failed to knock in Maton. Anybody surprised? Anybody stunned? No? Okay. That's what I thought. Coonrod in the eighth. Embarrassing. Allows a home run. Tie ball game. In the ninth. You know what happens. 0-2 to Tapia. And that ball gets annihilated in Coors Field. And the Phillies actually lost. Oh, it's so painful. What's not painful, though, is DraftKings Sportsbook. And utilizing DraftKings Sportsbook is what you need to do right now. Masvidal and Usman are getting back into Octagon after having such an amazing run at it the first time. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of UFC, is putting you in the center of this weekend's title fight with 26-1 odds on either title contender to reign victorious. Pick either main event fighter to win during this weekend's UFC 261 title fight, and DraftKings Sportsbook will give you 26-1 odds. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code Brodes when you sign up to turn $5 into $130 if the title contender of your choosing wins. Place your bet and watch the fish fly this weekend. That's code Brodes to turn $5 into $130 if the fighter of your choosing takes home the crown. For a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. You know the deal. Let's go to the Anytime Hotline. Here we go.
I don't think people realize just how much damage Matt Klentak, or whatever his name is, has done to this Phillies franchise. Mickey Moniak, Pavetta, Seabold trade, Arrieta, Velasquez. I think McCutchen's been a bust. And let's not forget Kapler, assembling one of the worst bullpens ever. I don't care how good Dombrowski is. He's not going to be able to fix this problem that they have quickly. Too many holes to fill, not enough money, not enough resources to trade. I'm in my 60s. I don't think I'll live long enough to see another good Phillies team.
I think that's a little bit of an overreaction. I really do. I think it does take time, though, to rebuild a franchise after Matt Klentak with the prospects, and you got to retool some things. How far off is this team, though, in the grand scheme of things? Sure, I know right now it doesn't look great as you're sitting at 9-10, you're under 500, but I don't think it's of an extreme of you are just in the worst, most horrendous spot ever as a franchise. You're not the Baltimore Orioles of the recent years. You're not the Miami Marlins of the recent years. So maybe that's why it makes us feel that way, because the expectations are higher than those teams, and then there's maybe a little bit of a downfall. But I still think that there's a bit of an overreaction that I'm never going to see anything. I do have some pushbacks, though. Andrew McCutchen is a bust. I don't know if he's necessarily a bust. Just 2 years ago, it was at the point where when he went down with that injury, your whole entire offense fell apart. So how do you go from that to Andrew McCutchen was the most important hitter in your whole entire lineup, and this team failed all the time to find someone that can step in and be that player that you need, and he was that crucial. He was that beneficial. He was what started your entire offense 2 seasons ago to he's the biggest bust ever, right? It's a little all over the place for me. I will say I don't think the contract was worth it. I think Matt Klentak overpaid for Andrew McCutchen. That's for damn sure. I think he paid too much money for him. But I don't think that Andrew McCutchen, one of the most veteran, respected players in baseball, is a bust just because in a stretch of 19 games to start this season, he hasn't been a sharp form and he hasn't been what we need out of Andrew McCutchen. That's for damn sure. But I think that's a little extreme. With Jake Arrieta, I had no problem signing Jake Arrieta. Jake Arrieta is actually doing good right now in Chicago. It didn't work here. I don't think signing Jake Arrieta was a bad move in theory. I don't think bringing Jake Arrieta in here in theory was a bad idea. It didn't work out. I can't believe I'm sitting here actually defending a Matt Klentak move. But to bring in a starting pitcher when he's leaving Chicago like Jake Arrieta, for him to perform the way he did, yeah, that's unfortunate. And I'm fucking pissed that it happened, for sure. But I didn't mind, like, at the time, bringing in Jake Arrieta, I was stoked. I went to his first game here in Philadelphia. It made sense. You pick up a pitcher. I'm not mad at that at all. It didn't work, and I put a lot of blame on, well, injuries for sure, and Jake Arrieta himself. I don't think Jake Arrieta himself handled it very well either, just himself as a professional athlete, the way that he was. His personality, his vibe with the clubhouse, tough guy mentality. I just didn't think it gelled here. And the fact that the mix of him and Gabe Kapler together, I don't know if that was the best dynamic for a player like Jake Arrieta as well. But I didn't mind bringing in Arrieta. Now, I hate Matt Klentak, and I think he sucked. I'm just being clear that, it's just Jake Arrieta is the only one I'm defending. I thought McCutchen was overpaid, but when you say he's a bust, I mean, come on, dude. It's Andrew McCutchen. And 2 years ago, we looked at him as one of the most important players on this team. And when he went down, this team lost everything. They literally lost everything. They were trying so many different options at the leadoff position, and they couldn't do it. But yeah, Moniak stinks. The Gabe Kapler experience was terrible. The list goes on and on. The prospects were trash. He knew nothing about how to utilize the analytics. He didn't have any baseball sense. So Matt Klentak was horrendous. It doesn't happen overnight to fix all that. And for Dave Dombrowski to come in a baseball mind, it might take a couple years. It's going to take a couple years. What do we have here? How can I help out this team? All right, now we can make our moves. I've seen what I needed to see. Now let's assess it. Now let's adjust. Now let's make our proper moves, our coexisting moves. I think it's just a little harsh to feel the way that you do because of a 19-game sample size and because of, like, I guess my question is, what was your thought on where this team was? What did you think this team was heading into the season? And if you think anything more than 86, 87 wins, well, then I think your expectations might have been just a little bit too high on where we were. I don't know. I mean, I'm bothered. I'm annoyed. This shouldn't have happened. This was a loss. There's probably 2 or 3 losses so far this season that should be wins. And then think about the 9-10 ends up being 11-8 or so. And now you have a totally different vibe on how you feel. You're right. And it's almost like you're beating yourself up. You're shooting yourself in the foot, essentially. And that's what makes it worse for sure. But I don't know. Maybe just a little bit of an overreaction, but that's just the way I feel.
This team's really starting to, like,
I don't know. This team's really starting to give me 2020 vibes. The bullpen and the pitching is really starting to, I don't know. I'm starting to get worried. I feel like they just need to get better with pitching. I feel like they'll be fine. See ya.
Yeah, I mean, I think their bullpen, when they get healthier, you're going to have different options. I know Coonrod is an acquisition this year. That is different. But if you think about, what happened there today, or David Hale, JoJo Romero, Coonrod was brought in there. I mean, Coonrod's new, but JoJo Romero, Vince Velasquez, David Hale, these guys were here last year. David Hale got into a little bit of a how do you do there. Coonrod had to come in. You have more options when you're available, and you go to newer guys, and it's not the same as last year. I just can't defend that statement of it feels like 2020 with the blown saves. Yeah, it does, because the last 3 games, your bullpen has given it up, but you don't have your new acquisitions. You don't have all your new guys, and if you have your new guys, it changes what you use in your bullpen, and it changes what's available there. Right? I mean, it changes everything. It does. It changes everything. So I'm not happy. I mean, just to be clear here, I'm not happy at all. I'm not happy. I just don't know what this bullpen is because I haven't seen it. Jose Alvarado, my man throws gas. My man can't be touched. Now, he can walk some guys. He can hit some guys. He can almost hit some guys. Conforto's face at 100 miles per hour inside. But if he's rocking and rolling, good luck. If Archie Bradley's rocking and rolling, good luck. If these guys are performing, good luck, and that changes your bullpen. Do you get the same blown save? I don't know. Does Hector Neris give up an 0-2 home run to Tapia? Maybe. But maybe that 7th inning doesn't happen. Or maybe that 8th inning doesn't happen. And then it's only a 1-run shot. And, well, because it's only a 1-run shot, the lead is still 4-3 instead of 4-4. Right? Or 5-4. Or whatever the case may be, the scoring at the end changes. All right, one more call here. Let's take.
Well, that happened.
That's it. Well, that happened. Yes, it did. Unfortunately, it absolutely did. And it is another loss for this Phillies team. But they get a chance to redeem themselves. Let's look at it positively. They get a chance to. That's what Joe Girardi hit us with. It's frustrating, but you play the next day. And I guess that's the mindset of the team right now. So I want to thank everybody so much for listening to this painful, painful loss. I appreciate you all so much, and I will see you next time.